For this hour, Nicholas Rushworth is here to tell us what is making a buzz online this Wednesday, and it's one of the stories I just mentioned. The police in France, they are angry, they have had enough, and they are taking industrial action now.
Hi to you, Laura, and of course where to go to but France 24 itself, its own website, which I can go to the headline straight away. Overwhelmed by yellow vest protests, French police launch their slowdown strike. So we have a handful of police unions that are up and running in France, and about over half are engaged in this strike action. It's a slowdown, sort of working to rule. And there you can see our picture of just the tension that we're seeing over the last few weeks in terms of the yellow vest movement. Let's go to this strike action in practice. We've actually got here one person tweeting about events at midday at Agde in the south of the country. There you can see a photo of police fonctionnaires, they say they're civil servants, outside one of the police stations. And if we look at that picture more closely, you can see there the Police Nationale, the door into the police station in Agde, one of them anyway, they're blocked by Alliance, one of the unions there we can see. So very much a sense of, well, for Macron, of course, bad news, because he feels he may well have, in a sense, sidestepped with a kind of fewer people out in the streets.
He's trying to calm down the protesters, and now he's got to deal with the police as well.
So we have here actually, in this tweet, if you look at it, we've actually got yellow vests out in support of the police in Soissons, near Paris. So 25 yellow vests in front of the Commissariat of Police. So you have the yellow vests supporting what the British press are calling the blue vests, which are the men in blue who have the blues wearing their blue vests. So very much a mood of what is going on, where are we going? It's the Christmas season. Here you have another tweet saying we've got on Wednesday today protest action in certain police stations, but then there you can see a journée noire for police. But what we've coming up is possibly significantly more police strike action
this weekend, right?
This weekend, which would be Act 1. If you look at that tweet again, Act 1, that word again that's been associated with the yellow vest.
All right, and there was some disruption today, particularly for travellers around the country.
Well, let's just take a look at a couple of tweets here from people just in the Paris airport, at Roissy Charles de Gaulle Airport. There you can see very long lines, and the text there in the tweet saying that the border control officers are supporting the police on the ground in the country by actually just really reading that passport very slowly. So they're doing it.
They're purposefully trying to.
They're controlling each passport scrupulously. Oh, wow. So this is another tweet. It's actually a traveller reporting there, writing in Turkish, saying that the police union, there you can see that long line. So delays and not what we want to see in the run-up to Christmas. We've just got, what?
People are trying to get out.
Over a week to go. But very much, again, that uncertainty about what shape is all of this taking.
Oh, absolutely. And that's not Emmanuel Macron's only problem right now, is it? NGOs want to sue him and his government for not taking enough action to fight climate change.
Well, there's another movement of protest, and it's called l'affaire du siècle, the affair of the century, and that's climate change, one of the hot top potatoes of the century. There you can see it has a website. We've just been chatting with a guest from the movement itself. Actually, when I looked this afternoon at this site, it did, if you can see at the top, it actually says there are 915,000 people who signed a signature in support of the movement to oblige Macron in court to actually respect climate change commitments.
So to bring back the carbon tax?
Well, to not be engaged in short-termism, and we know that means answering the demands of the yellow vest. But the striking thing for me was that when I looked at that website, the main website for the Affaire du Siècle, was that just 2 or 3 hours ago, the petition said 850,000.
So it's going up really fast.
It is, and that actually reflects some of the support we saw saw a lot of support for the yellow vest among the public. It kind of the highest was about 70%, and really you've got just now another movement growing, but that's a lot of people signing that petition, which is when Macron went out and hiked the fuel tax, he did that for the simple reason of meeting climate change targets. The yellow vests didn't want that. They didn't want a lot of other things. And he's had to deal with them. But will he now in turn have to deal with the another growing movement?
He's putting out one fire at a time, isn't he? Yeah. Well, it's all pretty grim. Have you got anything fun and festive to wrap up?
I think the antidote to depressing news is actually more depressing news.
Oh, good.
So all those dinners you're going to have over the Christmas season, Boxing Day or 24th or whatever.
Don't talk
Here's
politics.
One magazine saying the most depressing stats to kill the mood at your Christmas, your next dinner party. All of those Christmas and New Year articles are flooding.
Are you going to give us one?
Well, what about the fact that 40% of Russian men never reach 65, even though that's the proposed pensionable age under Putin? What about this one? 90% of all plastic in the world has never been recycled. That withered me away. And actually, when I read the article, one thing that stood out for me was this whole thing of shrinkflation, with actually products we're seeing over the Christmas season actually getting smaller. So really...
Jaffa cakes?
Yeah, Jaffa cakes that's what you get in the box, a Christmas cracker Jaffa cake. But in fact, there are even less. There are 16% fewer Jaffa cakes.
Oh, so they already did something funny with Toblerones, didn't they?
That's a shrinkflation story. That's your depression mood there.
Shrinking
for you,
me inside,
Laura,
that one,
to get
Nick.
you right on track for being very depressed.
All right, Nick, thank you very much indeed, bringing a nice festive cheer to us all. Nick Rushworth there. All right, time for our Focus Report this hour.